All right. Commissioner Joe of TPR Sports Keeper League here with finalists. Matt Baden, New Zealand's finest owner, third year in
Can
the
you not say
league.
that with such a fucking surprise in your voice, for fuck's sake?
Listen, this is interview Joe right here. So let's
Like, finalist.
finalist. Yeah, third year. Not many people have got there. Few have, not many have won. But have Matt Baden here. Welcome. How's everything on the other side of the world?
It's very good. I'm actually watching my daughter on the baby cam not be asleep right now. Um, so if this interview gets, interjected, it'll be her. She seems to be thinking that it is going to be time to sleep, but not quite yet. Things on the side of the world are good. It's summertime here, so things are good. It's basically like 80, 90 every day with a bit of a storm. So it's not grim weather like it is there, and the football's on, so happy days, and the teams are performing well, so that's always good.
It's a win across the board. It's a trifecta down there for you, mate. But again, this is your third year in the league. Yeah, you built up a good squad. You just to talk about the league as a whole right now. I mean, you've gone through it a couple times now, got to know everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling? How are you liking, the league and your ownership in it?
Well, two factors. One, the league. Well, obviously love the league. It's great, and I think this year has certainly been the best year that the league has had since I joined it, and that's got nothing to do with my own performance in it. It's just like it's more competitive, more trades. Obviously, every single owner seems really engaged and active, which is good, and that's just made it so that it's more competitive. And something that's more competitive is obviously better to be involved in. So, league's been great. Everyone is great to deal with. All the boys in the league are just good fellas. For the most part, and I've had a great time being in it. And like I said at the time, I was just very lucky to be accepted into the league, and you guys kind of accepted me into your hearts, with the exception of Brandon, obviously, who fucking hates me, but that's fine. Um, I, Outside of that, things are great.
No, awesome, perfect. So, I mean, let's talk about your team. I mean, you kind of came into this
Mm-hmm.
year, set yourself up with some good, solid keepers, made a lot of pre-draft trades. Some controversy in some of those trades, cutting Mikey out of a deal, rumored apparently. But talk to me about how you felt going into the draft strategy, what you were trying to accomplish.
Well, look, I'll leave the total strategy just to myself so that I can have some cards up my sleeve for next year. But um, yeah, the strategy going into the draft was interesting because obviously it had a lot to do with Mikey trying to get a hold of the third pick so he could draft Travis Kelce. And so we went back and forward on that. I think it's incredible that Mikey is upset about that trade because the way he ended up trying to shaft me later. So it's perfectly fine. I think that just tells you about the competitiveness of the league, right? Going into the draft, I knew I had a couple of good keepers, even though I thought Stevenson probably, as it's turned out, like you always struggle if you draft a Patriots running back. But I think Stevenson early was good, but he's been a bit hurt. He ran behind a really bad line for a while, and then just as he started to get healthy and the line started to get good, then he got hurt again. Um, and I think having a fully healthy and going Ramondre Stevenson would look something like what you got with Ezekiel Elliott right now. And if that had happened, then you would have like a choice between Williams, Cook, and Stevenson. And I think if I'd had that going into this week, I'd feel really confident. As it stands, I feel kind of confident enough, but I'm reliant on a couple of big games. I need AJ Brown to have a really big day. I need Puka to have a big day, which is absolutely possible. I need Lamar to have another big day against Miami, which is again quite possible. But the running back position, I'm certainly the weakest, and that I think anyone looking at the team going into the year would have said that. I My plan was to come out of the draft with Lamar. I didn't. And you'll know this. Like I juked a lot of people into thinking that I was going to take someone else, but Lamar was always the target. Hasn't really worked out as I'd hoped. I thought like him putting the team on his back would have been him running and him throwing a lot. It's really just been that they've fucking annihilated everybody, and so he's really been able to game manage a bit more, which hasn't been great. But the other reason why I wanted Lamar is because I knew that his playoff schedule would be like really competitive games like last week, where I thought he would have to run, he'd have to throw, he'd have to make a lot of plays. And so that seems to be turning out okay. And I suppose we'll find out if that final verdict was right this week.
Gotcha. No, it's yeah. And Puka, I mean, that's Travis alluded to it in his interview. He took basically every rookie and missed on the one that hit, at least on the receiver side. Definitely had to be a big boost for you, hitting on that lottery ticket.
Yeah, look, I think look, the first year I came into the league, I made a lot of mistakes. I had Elijah Moore and Amon-Ra St. Brown that I drafted in that year, and I let them go. I just fucking dropped them, which, looking back, you just think you're a fucking imbecile, which is perfectly reasonable, totally imbecilic move to make. Now I know what I have to do and how to move those pieces around. And Puka was the one guy. I came out of draft season with him in 2 leagues, and I picked him up off waivers in the other. And in every league I've had him one. So, it's obviously the pick of the year. And in our league, it's really important because obviously he has 14th round value. Without wanting to rub Mikey's nose in it, he did say at the draft, I've never even fucking heard of this guy. Who the fuck are you drafting? I think he knows his name now, which is important. And he's going to be on New Zealand's finest for the next probably 5 years, I would say, because it'll take me a long time to whittle down his 14th round value, I'd say. And it looks like he's got the #1 drop over Cup now.
Yeah, no, I think Cup's not young anymore too, so it's definitely a good one to have. But even like mid-season, you dealt with Goddard injury that didn't stop you. You kind of solidified the team with, kind of going, I wouldn't say all in, but a strong move in to get Kittle, Terry McLaurin, shore up some of the holes as you were kind of dealing with some injuries. So what was team morale like after you kind of looked at that squad and said like, all right, it looks pretty good going forward?
Yeah, a few people, in the league had said that they're pretty, kind of pretty happy with the way that I drafted, and I felt walking out that, like the RB2 spot was going to be a problem for me because I thought the one guy was going to be able to play. Elijah Moore just made a ridiculous catch. That a few guys are going to be able to, like at least one of those running backs was going to end up being an RB1, and then the other one was going to be the problem. And then I just needed Goddard to be serviceable, which he wasn't for the first like 4 or 5 games. It took, I think, to the LA game where they gave him the ball like 8 times on the first drive for me to feel comfortable I got it. And then he got hurt. So I had to kind of find a tight end. And, Sean had Kittle. He's obviously selling. So that was an opportunity. And obviously not a lot of people were really going all in after like what had happened last year. I think that kind of burned a few people. So that seemed like a good trade. The McLaurin trade's been a disaster. He's done absolutely fucking nothing, and he's fucking useless quarterback, useless coach, useless fucking everything. But I think I felt better about the squad knowing I had him there, even though he's been terrible. And they just scored another touchdown. It looks like the Jets are literally already on holiday. So that's nice. I don't have any Browns. I didn't play Joe Flacco. I just dropped him, in fact, which I don't think you could start Flacco against anything, but fucking I thought about it. So I felt pretty good about it, and the team morale was good, and now obviously we've got some depth. So happy times. Let's see how we finish out.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting because I would say, Mikey had Travis Kelce. Tight end, it's unique because if you look at all the other two other teams outside of yourself and Mikey, myself, Ogle, the 3 of us went out and kind of acquired a tight end, and that kind of like seemed to push a lot of our teams towards, kind of ultimately where we got to.
Kittle's been good for me, man. He's only really had one down week, to be honest. And I'm not really the biggest George Kittle fan because I think he blocks too much, but he's certainly been good for them down the stretch. And I'm hopeful that they go out and really want to annihilate Washington on Sunday, because I think then he could be in for a big game. But by the way that Breece Hall's going, I'm going to need him to do that too. So
yeah. No, 100%. So want to switch gears a little bit, a little bit of league dynamic. I've known you for years now, Matt. You are never shy to share your opinion. As I know, and as the league has learned.
Probably a fair comment.
So again, you are also not afraid to call people out when needed, not afraid to bring up new ideas, not afraid to just kind of keep the chatter going, which again, as a commissioner, I love because it kind of keeps constant.
Sure, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah. So, some can take it. Some may be rubbed the wrong way. The villain title has always been, I would say, Brandon's or Brennan's, or as we like to call him now, Marlon. But let me ask you, Matt, are you the new villain of the league?
It's a good question. I certainly think I'm an instigator. I don't know about a villain. I think Tom's holding the villain spot right now. Probably because more super team and then potentially not playing his guys so that Broom wouldn't get the #1 pick. I think he's probably holding that spot, but I don't think I'm probably far behind him. you know, for what it's worth, I supported Tom in not playing his guys because that would have been the move that I made. And I accept why he would do that. I think as well, like, you know, a bit of stimulation, you know, is always a good thing. Get the boys going a little bit. But no, I don't think League Villain is right just yet because I haven't really pulled off any villainous moves, like any crazy trades or anything like that. Maybe Mikey might have a different opinion, but for the most part, I think, you know, pretty much not the villain. Maybe just the Tamburi family as a general think I'm the villain, which is fine. But I'm probably more the instigator than I am the villain, you know. Unless I run away with the money, in which case then I probably am the villain.
No, it's definitely been a unique way playing out. Again, I enjoy everything that kind of comes with it, good, bad, and different. Yeah, from the league chat standpoint. And you mentioned, you know, the Varun Tom situation. You know, I think it's definitely something I'm sure will be talked about. I've gone back and forth. I'm probably more on the side of Tom the more I think about it as time has gone on. I know Travis commented on it, so I wanted to give you the opportunity if you have an opinion that you wanted to share with the league in that sense. I don't think it's something that's going to happen often, but it did happen. So
I don't think it's as much that I side with Tom that it's just that I didn't agree with Varun putting a moral argument on him. You know, I think morals are individual to everybody, and I'm not here to say that what's right or wrong to any person. One of the things I really enjoyed about moving to America is that a lot of people don't put their shit on you, like put their moral opinion on you. Now that may have changed a little bit over the last couple of years, certainly in society. One of the things I appreciate is you could sit in a bar with someone that thought differently to you. You could have a respectful conversation with them, and then you could leave. I just thought maybe putting the moral piece on it. Fucking Moore just scored a touchdown. That cunt. He's done fuck all year. And I thought, revenge game maybe. Fucking prick. Yeah, I just thought, like, I just didn't agree with that. I thought that's an unfair burden to put on Tom. Like, you know, to say like morally he's incorrect. Like, it's fantasy football. Like, can we calm down about putting moral stuff on people? And, you know, I think Varun in his like calmer moments probably will sit down later and think like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. And that's fine. But then into the wider argument is like, you know, you do what's best for your team. You know, at the end of the day, you just do what's best for your team. So if Tom thinks that's best for his team, that's fine. You know, I've got a bigger problem with Buddy, like literally not playing somebody because he's just like not paying attention. If someone decides to make a move because they are paying attention so much, or they want to, you know, fantasy, like what's the word that people use, like, you know, kind of wish cast it into existence that this is going to happen, and so they do a certain thing. That's fine. But I think putting that moral judgment on someone, I didn't think that was cool. So yeah, that's my view on that. And look, like I said, I understand Varun being initially pissed off. I mean, I'd be pissed off too if I thought I wasn't going to win the number one pick. But you also got to appreciate that I don't think you can put that moral thing on somebody. So I think that clears up where I stand.
No, very, very good points. And yeah, it's hard to say what's a right answer, or wrong answer, but it's, you know, being objective instead of subjective, I think in this situation is always easier to kind of take of like looking at it that way. But I'm sure we'll talk about it. We'll, you know, not sure if anything will come of it, but it's definitely, I'm sure it'll be a talking point in the offseason. But just as a league, you know, I know we've done this 10, 11, 12 years. I'm losing count at this point. This is kind of your third, you know, year in looking at the league. We've always made changes, you know, any change that we thought was going to be for the betterment of the league. You came in and were very instrumental in kind of establishing the new playoff format that has actually kind of created the last topic that we talked about, or at least the possibility of it. But it's also kind of kept a lot of engagement throughout. So as you look at the league where it stands now, is there anything you'd see as areas of improvement, things you'd change for the better, you know, at this stage?
Yeah, look, I think in terms of the playoff format, I think what should be remembered is the reason why I suggested it is to reduce the regular season to 13 games so that everybody played each other once. That's why I advocated for it, you know, because I thought, like, if in a 14-game season, you play Travis or you play Mikey twice in the league as close as it is this year, that could have literally meant you didn't make the playoffs or you did. And so that's why I was so clear. I was like, look, it doesn't make sense to play two teams once and then play everyone else once. That's play all the teams once and then play one team twice. You know, we should switch that up. And if that means we go with this playoff format where there's a bye situation, so at least there's value to finishing at the top, everyone was like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. And I don't think that's changed anyone's I don't think anyone's mind has changed about that. I just think it's the fact that the NFL has added the extra game that's kind of fucked with us a little bit, and we've had to deal with that. I don't know what the solution to that is. I think we all want to find a solution to not starting the playoffs in a round where in a schedule where there's buys. I think that's a really valid point. We should definitely try and do that. With that said, you knew the buys were there when you drafted the players you had. And I dealt with it the first year that we did it. And I think I had Kamara and Olave on a buy because the Saints had it. And I didn't fucking bitch, moan, and complain about it. So I think, there's a lot of like, once it actually affects you, then you complain versus maybe starting to think about formulating your opinion before it affects you and then kind of coming out with that. Maybe at the meeting might be effective. That might sound like a shot at a couple of people. It's not. It's just like, I think like doing it later after the fact, just like everyone's like, well, fuck, you knew about it, but you just didn't put it together at that point. So I just think that's probably where I stand on that. But I definitely agree that we should try and seek a situation where that doesn't happen. I think a few people have talked about punishments. I'm open to that as long as it's not the one where we kick someone out of the league. Like,
yeah, that was it was definitely I'm glad.
I appreciate Travis because he's an alternative thinker, but that was
It would definitely, it would definitely solve a problem of tanking and definitely trying to win. I get that, but I think we got a good thing going. And even your point about the reactionary to what happens to you, and then there's a suggestion. It's not just taking shots at anyone. It's a common practice that I've seen for a decade plus.
Yeah.
It's why the rules have changed. It's why there's been amendments to rules to like adjust for things. But a lot of times people will see something happen to them and say, all right, this should change. There's been a lot of those suggestions. I can list out a ton, even just from the interviews that I've had. A lot of people's suggestions have been at the because it's happened to them. And there should be a change. We'll talk about it in the offseason. And like you alluded to last year, we didn't have much chatter. When asked, there's a lot of opinions this year that I would like to carry over into an actual meeting so we can actually discuss it.
Yeah.
But
do me a favor, just pause for one.
Let me know when you're ready. And I got really two last questions for you.
Go for it.
All right. So, now, let's move on to the playoffs. In the finals against Ogle, well documented. I don't know if I just sent out our recap before.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, so you'll watch it afterwards. So I put in a prediction there myself. Not that it means anything, just felt like I had to throw it out there. But think about your playoff run.
What was your prediction?
We'll get to that later. So
you obviously thought Ogle won then.
No, we'll move that to the end. There's some things. Your playoff run. You played me in the first week, $140, very solid week. Solidified that bye. Rested up your guys. Came out swinging in a very epic battle with Mikey to get to the finals. Been averaging about 140 a week, which is again extremely solid coming into the playoffs. How are you feeling? What are going to be some of the keys, for you to kind of hold up the trophy after Sunday?
Same as it's been all year, man. It's like it's on the back of the RB2 and Lamar. If I get 10 to 13 points out of my RB2, which would be Javonte Williams, and Lamar gets 30, it's going to be hard to lose, I think, because those wide receivers are going to put up points. That's what they've done all year. They've got pretty good matchups. Puka probably, don't get me wrong, I drafted him thinking this guy's going to be got someone. I don't think in anyone's wildest dreams they thought they were getting what they've got. And because he's turned into such a machine, that allowed me to move Waddle on, who I thought I think Jalen Waddle's a great player, but you got Tyreek Hill. You're not going to get the ball as many times Tyreek Hill is. And my rule is you got to have the number one guy or have such great value out of the guy that you got that you have to keep them. So Olave, I think the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, he's actually developed a bit of a rapport. If Elijah Moore gets one more catch while we're on this fucking call, I'm going to fucking break my iPad. I don't know how many points this motherfucker is on, but it's not nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I can look it up for you. I don't know if you'll like what you hear.
I've seen 3 catches, one of them in the end zone. He must be on 14 points at least.
He's a little bit more. He's got 17, but we'll move past that.
That's fucking great. Anyway, point is, oh, he's hurt. Okay, I'm not wish casting that on him.
All right, let's keep the focus here. We got time.
No, sorry. So I feel like Olave's had good connection with Carr really recently. I don't know if that's going to continue into next year, but I think I want to bet on the talent. You know, Puka's number one and AJ Brown's number one, and I think he's even more number one when Goddard's playing. You know, when Goddard hasn't been out there, it's been pretty even between him and Smith, which is kind of weird, kind of split on that. So I think, as again, wideouts are going to do their thing. So it's really on the RB2, which would be Williams and Lamar, and that's what my team will run on. And you know, maybe Dallas pulls off, you know, a 40-point week like they did in week 1, to kind of get Ogle back. At the moment, I don't have them playing, but I'm maybe thinking about switching that out just to really fuck with Ogle a bit.
That would definitely bookend a season. If somehow
bookend the season would nicely, wouldn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, so again, you got a lot of good matches, and I think you kind of broke it down perfectly with the way that your team's set up. You know, Ogle's been performing extremely well the 2 weeks that it really mattered for him, 160 and 175. You know, and Brees is already off to a solid start, but I think it's going to be a battle. You know, to let you know my prediction, it was a tough call. I did put high scoring, and we're basically talking about a coin flip matchup. I think I went like 160 something to 158. I did slightly give the favor to Ogle strictly because of, you know, how you playing, you know, recently. Those two big, you know, you have two very big scores, and he has high week of the year caliber type week so far. So I rode with the hot hand currently.
Yeah, I think it really relies on, you know, kind of Allen and Debo. Like if they have big week, and the problem with those two guys, like Allen recently has had some shit games, not shit games where they've won, but where he just hasn't really done a lot, and he's let, you know, James cook, as it were. And then Debo is all or nothing. It's like 5 points or fucking 35.
Yeah.
And when you have them both go off in 1 week, then you can easily get to 160. And that's where I think probably the main two differences between Ogle's and my team is like his team has like the highest of high ceilings, whereas my team doesn't have that highest of high ceilings. Whereas I think I'm more likely to get to 140 every week, whereas he's not. So I think that's probably where it will be won and lost. They've both got good matchups. So, you know, it'll be just, like I said, it's on my RB2 and on Lamar. It's on Josh Allen and Debo. So
yeah,
4 amazing players, probably 3 amazing players and 1 fucking jackass. But maybe Javonte gets more work with than benching Russ. It can't get worse.
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to be a bit of a win at least.
But yeah, so I'll leave the floor to you. Closing remarks. Yeah, anything you want to kind of mention to the league? Anything on your mind? Before we kind of sign off.
I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and has a great New Year and enjoys the last week of fantasy football. I want to say that I think the league is at its absolute strongest right now, and that's because of everybody's engagement and involvement. And it's like a fucking privilege to be part of a league where people give a fuck that much. So thanks to everybody. Also, like, I realize I am an instigator, and I appreciate everybody's ability mostly to put up with me. Obviously, I do it out of love, not out of hate. I think everybody knows that. That's why I get away with so much. But I appreciate everybody in the league, whether I hold the same opinion as you on something or not. And that includes Marlon as well. Absolutely appreciate him. He should be scared about what I would do if I would win. And whether it's between me and Ogle should absolutely give him a lot of fucking sleepless nights over the next 6 months, because literally anything could happen. And I will be there for it. I will fucking make damn sure I get back there, because especially if I win, because I'm going to want to be there to see what happens. So other than that, thanks to everybody for a great season. Appreciate everyone's involvement. Appreciate everyone's feedback on me, whether it be good, bad, or ugly, and look forward to doing it again next year, and hopefully after a championship.
Yeah. No, well, Matt, best of luck again. Really enjoy having you, not only today here talking about this, but been a great addition to the league. Brought a lot of life and energy into an already pretty lively group as it is. So happy to have you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you, Lisa and Chloe, and good luck this week.
No worries, man. Hi to Shay, and love to you both, and recover well from COVID, but you don't have.
Yeah, no, false positive, but thank you, sir. All right, I'll see ya.
See you, bud. Bye.
All right, bye.